Hi, and welcome to Visuali. In this video, we're going to go through the features of Visuali so that you can get started creating new images, editing images, and a lot more. To get started, you have two options. You can either create your image directly from here and go straight into the editor, or you can create an empty editor project. For this example, we're going to create an empty editor project. To do that, enter the name of your project, my new project, and press create. This will take you directly to the editor with an empty project. To start off, we're going to go to the image generation function. To generate an image, simply press create new image and write your prompts of what you want to generate. For this example, we're going to generate a photo of the sunset on the beach. And simply press this button and your image is being generated. There you go. To add the image to the canvas, simply click the image and press add to canvas. To delete it, press the delete button on the layer to the left here. You can also add the image by pressing it and dragging it onto the canvas wherever you want. To get the prompt back from the image, press the get prompt button here, and now you have it. And you can generate more images. You can also generate more images at a time. So let's say we want to do 2 images at a time. And you can also change the model to get slightly higher quality or change how it's done. So for this, we're going to use the Flux Dev model as it's a bit higher quality. And we're going to generate new images again. And as you can see, all our requests are generating at the same time. And we can also generate images in other resolutions. To do that, we need to shift this box as it decides what the resolution of the image we are generating will be. To do that, simply press the move tool, and now you can move both this box. You can also move images and everything on the canvas. And then if you use the resize slider right here, you'll be able to set the resolution to whatever you want. And you can read what the resolution is right here. So let's set this to a landscape size image. And we're just going to move it over here. And we'll generate 2 new photos of the sunset on the beach. And as you can see here, our other images have also been generated. We can place them on a canvas here. By the way, if you want to remove this outline, you can simply just exit the action by pressing the change action button, and it will be a lot more cleaner. So one of the great things with Visuali is that you can use it kind of as a mood board and really get your ideas onto the canvas itself. So now we have a lot of images here that we've generated. And then next up, we are going to edit one of these images. So to edit an image, we're going to use the edit image function. And this is a very, very powerful image AI model behind this that lets us do all kinds of stuff. So to start off, let's add a person holding a surfboard to this image right here. So to start, we need to first grab our editing view here. This outline basically decides what the AI sees. So we want to edit this image, right? And put a person with a surfboard here. So we need to make sure that the AI gets all the information it needs. So we need to send it the entire image. And let's just resize this so it's the same size as the image. And then we can simply write, for example, add a person holding a surfboard to the image. And we also set it to 2 here, so we're going to get back 2 images. There we go. We got our first image here. And as we can see, some added a person holding a surfboard. Let's wait for our second image pair as well. We got our second image. I actually like this one a little bit better. So I think we're going to continue working on this one. And we can do a lot of stuff now as we have our image to start off with. As the edit functionality is so versatile and can do a lot of things, we can do things such as change the time of day to noon. And it should modify the image so it looks like it's on the middle of the day. And let's see what it does. There we go. It's now broad daylight. Next up, we're going to go through the fill functionality. The fill functionality can be accessed by pressing the more button here and then fill. And the way fill works is that this is the view of the AI again for the fill functionality. And whatever is inside this view and empty will be filled with whatever you write here. So it can be used to both fill things in the image, and it can also be used to extend an image. So let's start by filling out these trees right here. I want it to just be beach. So we're going to fill that area with sand, beach. And there we go. It's now processing. While we're waiting for that to process, we can also extend the image to the side. And the same principle works there. So we're going to write what we want to fill this area with. And here it's pretty simple. It's beach, ocean, waves. And let's send that one as well. Here we go. We got our image back. And as you can see, when I press the image, the outline moves automatically to where it was filled. And this is to ensure that when you're filling a lot of images and all this moving, the outline around, you want to make sure that the image gets placed at its correct position. So when you, as you can see, when we press an image, it will automatically move the outline view to the position. So now that we have our image, we can simply drag and drop it, or we can press Add Canvas and it gets added automatically to its position. And it's the same with the image, which is the extension. We simply press it and add Canvas and it happens automatically. Now, there's one thing of using the fill function to do this. However, with the rapid changes in AI and technological progress, actually the edit function can do a lot of similar things and sometimes in even a lot higher quality, which creates a very interesting way to use Visuali. As there is no right way to use it. It is something that can be experimented with and discover a lot of new ways to create things. So for example, let's take this right here. We're just going to delete this area. And we're actually going to write, fill the blank area with palm trees. Extend the image to the right and fill the blank area with greenery and palm decrease. We're going to send this to the AI. You can also send generate multiple images at once. You can also send multiple of these requests. They're all being processed simultaneously. But we're just going to wait for the results here. And there we go. You can add this back to the canvas. And as you can see, the edit function did a pretty good job of filling the image and adding the stuff like you want it. One thing to note is that while we can add the entire image to the canvas, it's also possible to add specific parts of an image back to the canvas. So let's say we like these trees more than the ones over here. What we can do is just delete this later. Then go to this image. We're going to press Paint Image into Frame. And on the left here, we have two options because we're in the paint mode right now. And what it allows us to do is to simply paint pixels from the selected image into the canvas. And the way that the AI generates images often makes this into a very seamless way of adding edits to an image. And we can be very precise here and get things exactly how we want it. And there we go. Now we have a blend layer here on the left. And as you can see, when you enable and disable that, only the trees from here on the image have been transferred. And we can also adjust the amount of solidity around the pixels that are inserted. So we can also increase the radius. So it's a lot bigger, but a lot more softer. Basically, the solidity changes how soft it will be. And when it's at max, it is very hard edges. So there we go. Next up, we have the evolve function. The evolve function can be accessed by pressing more and evolve. And the way that the evolve function works is by running the image through the AI again. So whatever is in the square will be sent to the AI and reran together with wherever is written here. So the way this works is we can write, let's say, a abstract oil painting. And let's just do one image. I'm going to set the strengths to 85. And the strength decides how strong the processing will be on the image. And what we write here is what the image will be guided towards. It is not an instruction. It is simply like generating an image. However, we're also giving it an image as input. So as we can see here, the image which was generated was a bit too much there. So we're going to try again with a lot lower strength. Let's put this to, say, 60. So let me complete the prompt here. You can also write something else, such as, oh, here we go. We got the image back. Yeah. And as you can see, it is turn the image into something completely else. Now, evolve is one of the oldest functions in Visuali. And while it still works, you can also use the edit function to create similar variations and edits, as the edit function is a lot more general and it can be instructed to do basically anything. So in this example, let's convert this image into a abstract oil painting. And as you can see, right now we're using the edit function, as it can also do a lot of the things that Evolve can and give similar results, sometimes better, sometimes worse. There we go. So as we can see, the edit function did a pretty decent job, I'd say, of converting the image. And we can actually draw some of the pixels back into the image to give it a type of combination of painting an image here. As you can see, we have like quite rough edges around here. So I'm gonna put the solidity a lot more down and then soften them up right here to give a more seamless transition. You can also increase the radius and really get it smooth. There we go. Now we have a little bit of an interesting effect on our image. Now, moving on to some of the more advanced features of Visuali. As we've used Visuali so far, we've only had one input. However, it is possible in Visuali to have multiple inputs for the AI. And the way that this works is in the edit function, you can press this button right here, and then you get to select multiple inputs. And if you press this button, you can see that we have another of these camera views of the inputs to the AI. And we can add up to 5 of them. This number will probably increase in the future. However, right now it's set to 5. So to give an example of how this can be used, we're going to start by uploading a couple of images. So the first image we're going to upload is the logo of Visuali itself. And the second image is this image of a car right here. Now, let's just place this onto the canvas so we can start doing our editing. So now we have 2 images. And what I want to do is I want to take the Visuali logo and I want to add it to the car. And right now we only have this input square, but we're going to add another input square right here. And we're going to take that and we're going to make it take this image as an input. So you have to resize it to be the same size. To do this, we got to move the move tool or the outline using the move tool to the top left of the image here, and then we can drag the resize slider to simply cover the entire image. And now we have 2 inputs to the edit function. Then we're going to write as a prompt. Put the logo on the side of the car. This and that. We'll do a couple of more variations. And let's see what we get back here. There we go. We got the image back, and now the logo has been added to the car. Yeah, all of the images look pretty similar. So let's keep this one. And now what we can do is, for example, we can take this image of the car. We're going to add another input. We're going to move this next to the surfer here. Do this on the right side here. And now we got both the image and the image of the car set as inputs to the AI. And we're going to write add the car to the right in the image of the beach. Add a road that the car is parked on. And we set them out to 2, and they're going to generate the edits. And let's see what happens. By the way, your uploaded images always show up at the top right here. And to hide them, you can press this button. And it will hide the images that you've uploaded. All right, there we go. We have our image back here. Oh, we're just going to put it here. And as you can see, now we got our car on a road to the right here. And really, the possibilities are endless from here. Okay, and continue working on this image, extending it, and really creating anything. Of course, Visuali is not limited only to generating and uploading images. We can also draw. And to draw an image, simply on the left here, select the Draw on the Canvas tool. And this allows you to draw anything that you want on the canvas. You can change the size of the brush here. We're just going to draw a very photorealistic airplane here. Yeah, I mean, it needs some windows. You know what? That's good enough. The AI, it will figure it out. So let's select Edit Image. We're going to drag the view to here. Actually, since we're already editing it, we might as well extend the image in the same go. Let's see if that works. So we're going to write, convert the drawing of the plane into a actual plane. Also extend the image to the left, add more beach and ocean with a lot of waves. All right, let's see what happens. Sometimes the edit function does a better job than what we expect it to. So we can actually give it more area to fill. And let's see what happens. All right, we actually got our first image back. And let's add that to the canvas. Oh, we got a pretty well plane there. However, as we can see, we got this edge right here, which we don't like. However, in this image, we can see that the edge isn't there. So we can add that one to the canvas, and it kind of solves the problem. However, now we see that we have an edge on the right side, which this image does not have. So what we can do here actually is to paint in only the specific part of the image that we want. And as you can see, it removes that edge. Since we have two images, one where the edge is happening and one where it's not, Visuali it lets you insert only those pixels. And that, makes it that issues like this are solved pretty quickly. One thing that's also possible is to change the order of the layers. And not only do we have drawing tools, we also have more tools, such as you can add a square wherever you want to the image. And of course, this can also be moved around using the move tool. And let's just delete this square. We can use the tool to pick a color from the canvas. Let's just take this one, and then we're gonna add a square here. And then we can also add text, and we're gonna make it in white color and choose our fonts. And let's use impact, and we're gonna write here, hello world. And there we go. We got our text. And it can also be moved using the move tool. Same with the square here. So we're just gonna move this here. And now I'm gonna take the edit function again. I'm gonna select this area where you're gonna write. Turn the text and square into a professional design. And let's see what happens. Because in Visuali, there is no right or wrong way to do things. We simply give you the tools, and it's up to you to experiment and use them however you'd like. In this case, we have simple drawing tools. You can add text, and then it's simply a matter of experimenting and seeing what happens. So we got our first image back here. It did not work really well. However, we have this one. And here's something happened. We see that the text has gotten a shadow. And yeah, it's just an example of more of what is possible using Visuali. Now, we have a pretty big project here. We've gone through most of the functions on how to use Visuali. And now it's time to do a deep dive into the navigation and controls of Visuali. Because Visuali is a tool based on a canvas. There is a lot of space to move around. And you can drag around using like 2 fingers on the touchpad. You can also use the mouse, but then you need to be in the drag mode, which you can select over here. And once you're in the drag mode, you can just press and drag. You can then hold Command or Control and scroll to zoom. And if you're in the move, you have the move tool selected, then you can also press Command or Control to drag around. To move the outline view or the square itself, you can also hover somewhere and press S. And this will move the square to wherever you're hovering. And this makes editing a lot faster. It's one of the shortcuts I use the most. And it's really these shortcuts that can really supercharge the experience visually. There's also another shortcut, which is very handy, and that is Tab. to close the menu on the right and tab again to open it, and Shift tab to close the one or open it on the left. You can also quickly switch between the modes by pressing E. You go straight into the generate editing mode. If you press G, you go into creating a new image. And by S, you can move it. So if, let's say, I want to edit something in the image, I want to change the image, the color of this car. Even though I'm in like the generate mode right now, all I have to do is simply hover over the area. I'm going to press S, it's going to move the frame. Then I'm going to press E, and now it's in edit mode. Then I'm going to simply write, make the car blue. And now it's sent. And at the same time, while that's happening, I'm going to press S again and move over here and extend the image to the left, add a sailboat in the ocean. And while that one's running, we got our image back here where the car has become blue. And I'm going to get another image back very soon now. There we go. Now the image has been extended as well. And we have our sailboat. And by using the shortcuts, as you can see, it becomes a very quick process. And everything is designed so that there isn't many menus you have to go through, and the core functionalities are right there at your fingertips. So the way that a project in Visuali works is that each of your images and your actions, such as painting and drawing and erasers, they get added as a layer on the canvas. And this gives you control both of what your actions are. For example, if you select the eraser tool here and you erase this person, you see a eraser layer was created. And you can hide or show it. You can also delete it. And layers also determine how the images are in relation to each other on the canvas. So, for example, if we take this image right here and we take another image and put it on top of it, the order of the layers decide which image comes above. So, let's see, we have image here and we have the image here. And we can show and hide them. We can also give them a custom name to make it easier. So we're going to call this for sunset. And we're going to call the other one for other sunset. And now what we can do is, where these arrows are, if you press and hold, you're able to drag the layers and you can rearrange them and really get everything how you want it. And the same goes for any type of layer. So we have the eraser layer here. And so you move this image here, and the eraser is now above the image. However, you can drag it below and then you can't see it anymore because this image is now above the eraser and the other image is below it. So the eraser is still affecting that layer. One other thing is that in big projects such as these, you might not know where the image is in a list of layers. Well, when you're in when you have the move tool selected and you press an image, it's actually going to select it for you, which makes it a lot easier to, for example, show and hide. Also, in big projects like this, after we've been experimenting, crafting with a mood board such as this, we might want to take our final result and just save that. And to do that, we simply press the download image button right here. And this will download everything that's on the canvas. We can also save the project, which is very important. And that is done manually by pressing save right here. Simply press it, and the project will be saved. Now, we would like to only export this image though. And to do that, we need to remove everything else on the canvas. Because if we export and download the image right now, everything will be included, which in some cases might be what you want. In our case right now, it's not. So to do this, we're going to just go through each layer, and everything that is not necessary, we delete. All right, there we go. Now we got only the image that we want to export on our canvas, and we can simply press download image, and only what is on here will be downloaded. And it will be downloaded in, of course, the same resolution as everything is here, because we are simply extending the resolution in Visuali. So the images will always retain their high resolution. Also, just a note, of course, Visuali supports Control-Z, Control-Y. So let's say you make a mistake like this, simply just Control-Z, and it goes back, or Control-Y, and it could go back again.